Okay, my goal today is still to be able to edit and place primitives in VR, change the color, delete primitives. And to this end, I needed a VR menu, a menu that you can see maybe attached to your left wrist that you can click through and get to the tools, and set the right edit mode and be able to switch between these pages. So in the last session, I did a bit of refactoring, and I wanted to test both versions, the full screen as well as the mesh. So in this menu manager, I create one texture, texture 1, that is the full screen version, and then here texture 2 as the mesh version, create for mesh. And in the listener, I simply listen for an event and update both textures just so I can see what the difference is. So right now I'm noticing that the full screen version takes over the entire page, probably because we need to make this much smaller. We kind of want to just maybe in this corner. So let's see. One way to do that is setting some rectangle options inside main. Oh, actually, I was playing around with some. What happens if we don't have these? So I click on that. Okay, so it's barely visible. Let me move the camera over here. So what we're seeing is actually two things on here. Let me refresh, and let me also comment out the app stuff here, just so this doesn't get in our way right now. All right, so this is the texture that I have no place to put it, but we've created it already, so that's there. And oh, but we won't be able to launch into the mode if we don't have the menu, because the menu, this show menu overlay, comes from the menu overlay component. Here, and this is the thing that when you toggle it, it sends a message to open the menu. So if we want to see it open by default so we can refresh the page, then we can force this message to come out, or we can just call a method. Since we're in main manager here, in the constructor, we can simply send ourselves a message here, and that'll put us into main. Okay. So, okay, here's the grid. So I believe what we're seeing over here is the texture version, because we are having this at Y. Let's maybe raise this up a bit, 0.2, and set this a bit to the right. So this plane position in the X direction, let's add maybe 1 meter. Okay, so now it's way off over there, and it's locked to the camera, so maybe too much. 0.2, and height might be too high. Just do that. Okay, that seems fine. All right, so this has no styling. It's 100%. So what would happen if we made it just 50% high? So in main, the height. So let's set this rectangle props. So the height maybe 50%, and this can be 30%. Okay, and now we get something that looks like this. And it's not too bad. We want to position the whole thing to the left bottom corner. So I believe we can do that with the align horizontal or vertical and horizontal align. Horizontal alignment. Oh, so the container can be aligned. So maybe we do this not in here because this has got to be shared. We do this outside of here in Menu Manager. So when we're the plane, we do that. But for texture 1, and we're adding the control. So we can, let's see, does texture have any alignment controls? This texture 1 dot horizontal align vertical. How about offset? Offset. How about transposition? Let's jump into one good tool. Is just pulling up the scene debugger and playing around with these parameters here, because sometimes you can discover something that's tweakable. So here's the texture itself. So we've got width and height, and is 3D no cube, UV set, ideal width, ideal height, transform. So what happens when you tweak these? Oh. Oh, I think I clicked on something. I don't think we want this though, right? Because that depends on the height of the window. This is kind of adjusting for us, right? So if we were to modify the texture itself, you can actually just push it off screen and like that. And then what happens when we shrink this? Whoops. It seems to react okay. Okay, so maybe that's a solution. What else can we play with? We can play with the root. The root container also has this is the one that has alignment. So if we clear this and bring this up again, textures, oh sorry, GUI, root container, we can say horizontal will align to the left, and the vertical alignment will be to the bottom. So the root container and So I don't perceive that it's doing anything. I wonder if it needs a moment to kick in. Okay, then there's our container, no name container. This is the one that has what if this is also left, bottom? Let me try setting this here. So you got this height. Vertical alignment. And GUI.control vertical alignment bottom and horizontal alignment GUI control horizontal alignment left. This is on the main. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it does take that, but it also affects this one here. So we want this to be 100%, or it just needs a container, and the container around it is what we style. So if we remove this, at least we remove these properties, these will just by default span the entire area 100%. But then in the menu manager, so we want the plane to have 100%, but we don't want the full screen GUI to take over everything. So we have this texture, but when we apply texture 1, we'll dispose of any root container. We'll create a new control. So let full screen container equal GUI rectangle or container, new container, and then let's say that the full screen container will have these properties. So full screen container, just set a couple of things, paste these, dot that equals this, equal that, width equal that, the height equals that, and we'll add this as a control. Texture 1, add control to that, but before we do that, we'll also add this as a control of that. Screen controller, add control, get rid of some commas. Okay, so now it's 100% like so. Okay, so we're going to click on About, we get this, and we go back, go Edit, Transform. Alright, this is quite large. Oh, because the font size is set based on the canvas of the whole thing. So can we make this scale on its own? When ideal resolution is set, all values expressed in pixels are considered relatively to this resolution and scaled accordingly. Ideal width. What happens if you set an ideal width for texture 1? This texture 1 ideal width equals 600 pixels. 600? And that makes it even bigger. It's getting bigger and bigger. Okay. Interesting. happens if we put this on texture 2? This texture 2 ideal width equals same thing. And that gets way smaller. I'm just playing around with these settings, see what I can find appealing. It seems okay. It seems like the font is being squished though. It really wants kind of a square looking tile there. Okay. Then when we click through, okay, these stacked have a very tall width. Let's see. So we have a helper which is setting it to 200 pixels, and that might be a bit too big. Let's try 50 pixels. That looks a lot better. Here, go back. To transform. So what about for all the stacked panel? Let's also make the panel vertical alignment to be top. And that is fine. And for all links, maybe not all links. So about, edit. So maybe if it's a link, we can set the color there color? Oh, the button. Text. So we can render the text as text block. So now these are blue. Back. Edit. And so let's align left if it starts with a caret, maybe. Horizontal alignment. First, let's see, can we just pull it to the left? Yeah, this button didn't get pulled to the left. Control alignment left. Let's see if this does anything for a link. No. So what does it take to do that? Open up this thing and either one of these. So let's look at the main menu. Stack panel. So root, no name container, no name container, no name rectangle. Okay, the rectangle. Here's the stack panel. Stack panel, and here's the main menu itself, which is alignment center. And then we have, okay, so this stack panel has a button. Okay, stack panel. So I think it's this thing that needs to be horizontally aligned. But it's already aligned left. And this one is also aligned left. So inside the stack panel, you can't set alignment left. The rectangle itself is centered horizontal left. Stack panel here. This is a rectangle, this is a stack panel, horizontal, make it left. I think that changing this in the inspector doesn't actually refresh this. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe not for these textures. So we might want to get an instance of it and change it there. So let's do scene menu, scene what? orchestrator, scene manager, menu manager, and give me one of them, texture 1. So let's call this let t1 dot does it have any IDs? ID. I have no way to find it. Otherwise I could do get control by name, but the control doesn't have a name. Oh wait, unique ID. Get control by, can't get it. Is this? That work? Dot horizontal alignment equal 0, equal 1, ooh, equal 2, equal 3. Yeah, okay, that's the text block. This is the text block that says main menu, and this has an ID of 63. 63. So, I don't think this is focusing on the right thing. Why don't we just specify some IDs around here? So links, at least, should be easy to style. So we can have the name be button, name be button, and then props target, and then the text name can be text and props target. So if we did that, at least t1 equals that, t1 get control by name, and let's get the button. So button menu, nothing. Button, oh yeah, button about. And what's your vertical or horizontal? Horizontal alignment is 0. What if it were 1 or 2 or 3? Does nothing. I think it's taking up the whole space though. That's why. That's why. Because this thing's width goes all the way across. So if you want to do something about it, you have to align the text within, which would be button text, text about, and then you can say text the class name is what? Text block, yeah. I think the text block you can make it align left. Text block, outline, text horizontal alignment. Okay, so we can say that the, where am I? The text horizontal alignment equals 0. There you go. What else you got? You can also add some padding. We have some padding, padding left. How much? 0. How about like 5 pixels? Okay. Yeah. Give everybody like 10 pixels of padding. What if it's just like 0.1? Can you do that? No. 2, 3. No, it wants padding left, padding right. Yeah, give everybody some padding. So especially on links. Text horizontal alignment is GUI control horizontal alignment left. Does that work? Yeah, everything's aligned left now. Yeah, that looks better. Give us some padding. And padding left is 10 pixels. Okay, so we can go to About and go to Edit. Okay, this is looking okay. Alright, we want to jump into Transform. When we jump into Transform, we got to turn on some GUI gizmos and the like. So let's look into that. Let's make a... Okay, we'll stop here and make a save.